Dak 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 Dakdakan na with Iyu and Mora. Yo, what's up guys? Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Anong oras naman pinapakinggan tong show namin. So, again, I'm here with Iyu. We're just two couple of friends and we just wanted to talk about basketball. We're on to episode number na tayo, 4, di ba Iyu?
Episode number 4.
Episode number 4 for the
It comes 2 days after the end of the Philippines hosting of the World Cup. And we'll start off with that, with our thoughts after our successful hosting of the World Cup and how it went down. So we'd like to start with congratulating Germany, of course, for winning the championship. I was there to watch the game. It's a very, very fun experience. It's the highest number of attendees in a game in a World Cup. And it's well-deserved, though I find it quite unfortunate for Serbia. Hindi naman siguro mananalo sila kung kumpleto sila, but I found it unfortunate that they lost their primary defender on Schroeder 2 minutes into the game. But other than that, you have to give props to Germany for locking down on defense in the third quarter, especially the second half. Their defense towards Bogdanovic. Dennis Schroeder definitely deserved the MVP. And they deserve to win after going undefeated. That's it.
Well, it was a historical night, if I may say you.
Mm-hmm.
Kasi it was full of technically record breakers, as you mentioned. It was record breaking in terms of the number of people who attended, and then especially it was also a record breaker kasi ito yung unang championship ng Germany. Well deserved. Yun nga, it was unfortunate that they lost their primary defender, pero after going down with that injury, wala na makapigil kay Dennis Schroeder.
And I have to give props to Serbia pa rin. And I was most especially impressed by Alex Abramovich, who was their backup point guard. He stuck to Schroeder as much as he can, and he tried to be a Curry at the end by taking all those threes to keep them close. And I have to feel sorry for Marko Guduric because he had the chance to tie the game with the open three and to get the team closer with a missed end one. And then he ended the game with a turnover. So, still props to Serbia, but then again, Germany fully deserved that championship.
So yeah, basically Guduric did not have good luck.
It was good or poor. Sorry.
So yun, huge props not just to Germany, not just to Serbia, to the entire FIBA committee, to all those that actually worked their asses off to make this event possible. Hindi natin alam kailan yung next na FIBA or even Olympic tournament here in the Philippines, pero it was definitely a spectacle to be part of the audience members that were there.
Yeah.
Sige, ano tong pinapakita ni CDU? Sige.
Nakakuha ko ng shirt from the final. Yun nga lang, large lang. So, hapit pa siya ngayon. Pero gawin natin mas maluwag eventually.
Gawin natin mas hapit eventually.
Ayun. And speaking of giving props, you have to give props to the third place game as well, which happens to be the game of the tournament, if I may dare to say, because of how overtime was forced by Mikal Bridges. But it ended up being a win for Canada and their first medal in the FIBA World Cup. So, congratulations to them.
I don't know if it's a claim na unfounded, pero I think everyone was actually thinking na this would have been the finals at the start of the tournament.
The game itself was worthy of a final.
Yeah.
And for them to tie the closing seconds, for Canada to fight back in the OT and to not let that shot get them down and to eventually win
Mm.
is, is was fun to
Yeah.
watch. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
well, Canada really did not let anyone put them down. To the point na si SGA pa yung nag-put down ng player with this ankle break.
and to think na si RJ Barrett pa yung nakakuha ng clutch 3 to definitely seal the game after Brooks had 39 already. So it's a huge step for Canada. And I hope that in next year's Olympics, Canada will have Wiggins and Murray. And funnily enough, I think because of this game, kaya nagkaroon ng statement a day later na from Shams Charania na LeBron wants to organize or to get
Yep.
fellow players to commit for the Olympics. And that includes LeBron, KD, Steph, Booker, and other players. So,
John
we'll watch.
Stockton, Larry Bird. Hindi, joke lang.
So, looking forward to next year's Olympics most definitely. It will probably be the Olympics with the most NBA talent present. And that will be fun to watch.
Well, what do you think of Kyle Kuzma's take regarding the USA team? Na it's not really a question of firepower or talent, but rather it's getting enough role players to play certain roles. Na parang you're putting all superstars into one team. Nawawala na yung person that would gladly go to the corner and wait for that open shot.
I guess that's true. And that's also true of teams that have won the Olympics before. Even Team USAs that have won the Olympics before. If you just look back at the teams that won in 2020 in Tokyo or 2021, it wasn't necessarily a team full of stars, but you're reminded that they had Bama de Bayo,
Mm.
which he's still a star, but he's capable of playing a role within a team. And you have to remember that they also had Draymond Green, who is a perfect role player when facing international competition. So I guess I'll have to agree with Cruz. And I hope it happens next year, even if they're chock full of stars. And these stars won't just try to outshine each other, but then they commit to the roles that they're assigned to. So
Yeah,
we'll
so
see.
hopefully the stars do align in one way or another. But then
Yes.
again, yeah, it's something to look forward to.
Mm.
A team loaded with those household names. So yeah, I guess we'll move on further into the game that we actually watched live. So this was basically Slovenia versus Canada.
Yun. We got our tickets in advance. We figured that if Canada or Slovenia were to come here, they'd place them in the night matchup. So we got them in advance. And luckily enough, we got these seats. And kitang-kita naman. And I guess from our experience, we're surprised. You were surprised the amount of Luka fans in the crowd. So we were with RR, who is a Dallas Mavericks fan, and he himself was surprised with the amount of love that Luka received. Even in the warm-ups, they were cheering for the rest of the team, but when he came out to the stretch, everyone was cheering his name. And everyone was hyped when he made the first trick shot, when he hit the backboard, when he hit the shot clock. And at the same time, everyone was kind of pissed when he got ejected early in the fourth. They were saying some even went as far as leaving the arena already because there was no point in staying now that Luka was gone. So yeah,
Yeah, basically, it was a pleasurable experience to have seen Luka play in the flesh as well as all the superstars of Canada.
mm,
Makita natin yung shift eh. Dito sa game na to, every time nahawakan ni Dillon Brooks yung bola, the entire arena was actually booing him. While in the third place game, tuwing hawak niya yung bola, I've heard MVP chants yung sinisigaw
Mm.
ng arena.
Well, hindi pa rin makakalimutan ng mga Pinoy na Laker fans yung mga pinagsasabi niya ng playoffs. And I guess that's why they're booing him. Uh, Good on him for proving the doubters wrong and for even winning Defensive Player of the Tournament.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yun, nakakamiss na ang World Cup. To go from seeing world-class players duke it out almost every other day, even on our TV sets, to this, nakakamiss. So, yun. We hopefully we get to host it again soon
Yeah.
and with better prices. Ika nga. Char.
Pero pwede rin defensive player of the year sana si si Luka. Kasi parang
Bakit?
kaya siya na-thrown out. Defensive siya sa lahat ng calls.
So that's the World Cup. We're happy that we were able to host it, but now it's time to move on to the next competition that will be coming up in a few days, in a little over a week. It's the Asian Games, and recently Tim Cole has been appointed as the Asian Games coach. Honestly, this is a surprise, at least for me, because of his statements before, where he said that if Chot leaves, he leaves. Then I guess then kalakas si SMC to get him to coach.
Yes.
And I'm happy that he's the coach because at least there's continuity. There are players who
Are you sticking with your prediction that we shouldn't expect much from Gilas this Asian Games?
well, now I'm a bit more hopeful because in my previous prediction or expectation, I didn't know that you could get uh, you could get both Brownlee and Kwame to play for the team. To add to that, you could get additional players that didn't have Philippine passports before the age of 16 to get to play for the Philippine team, which is why we have a completely different roster for the Asian Games. And to add to that, the fact that you've replaced the Japan imports with really capable players such as Abueva and Romeo, um, it gives me a little bit more hope. Okay? Even if we're
Pero
facing a
hindi lang
Jordan
capable
team.
to mga to. Puno ng attitude sa puso.
yan ang talagang typical Philippine basketball. You're
Yes.
either someone who
Empty
dribbles a
to
lot and can
uh,
score, or you're someone who fights for every ball and shouts puso every time. So, your
eh,
thoughts?
yung mga pasimpleng extra movements that normally wouldn't be done. So I'm
Yes, yes.
excited to actually see those moves be executed by any of these two players.
Mm.
Pero EU, it's this is a question I'm just putting out there kasi I've also seen a few others who are actually asking the same question. Um, Nasan si Remy Martin? Kung kailan pwede tayo magpasok ng
Mm.
any other player, asan kaya si Remy Martin who also has mentioned previously na he's actually very willing to play for Gilas Pilipinas.
I'm actually not sure where he is now, but I guess if they really wanted him, they would have contacted him a while ago.
Yeah.
And this is what's disappointing about the Gilas preparations, because if you compare this to Japan's preparations, Japan is sending a team that doesn't involve the players that played in the Asian Games, in the World Cup.
Yeah.
But they've been preparing for more than a month before the start of the Asian Games. So if there was a plan beforehand to get these guys to practice or to at least get together before the actual Asian Games, then you wouldn't have this problem of looking for people to represent the country. I guess wala lang talaga silang way to get him to commit.
Yeah, hopefully in the next games, in the next friendlies, he'll be there. But yeah, we'll
Mm.
have to stick with what we have. And this is not a bad team at all. This is a
Mm.
team that would actually compete.
Mm. And with that, I'd be disappointed if they don't make it to the Final Four. Even if on the other side of the bracket they have uh, in the group
Yeah.
stages the most challenging game will be Jordan. I hope they get that because that's a Jordan team that has Ronde Hollis Jefferson and the rest of the World Cup team. They actually went straight to China after ending their World Cup. So that's a big test. And I hope that uh, they still sweep the group and end up getting either China or Lebanon, which they should beat as well with this roster. So anything less
Mm.
than a top four finish, I'd be very, very disappointed. Yeah. How about you? What do you think will happen?
Well, to be honest, I'm not very familiar with what roster China and Lebanon would be actually using for this World Cup.
Hmm.
But I have high hopes. These are players who have been constantly representing the company to the country rather. So they have
Corporate.
been
Corporate.
so they have
Intrams.
been constantly representing the country, and then we have actually reunited with two shall we call them prodigal sons of Philippine basketball, and then hopefully they'll be back with vengeance, and sana wala nang sapakan involved.
Wala namang Australia sa Asian Games, so okay
Yes.
lang yan. Walang ganun. So, yeah. And speaking of the
Kasi
Asian
kung may
Games,
Australia, flying kick ni Ton Maker yung abangan mo.
yun nga, wala. But speaking of the Asian Games, with the Asian Games in mind, the PBA has actually pushed back the opening of the season. They
Yeah.
pushed it back to November 5. And with that, even with that pushback, they're pushing through with the PBA Draft this
Yes.
coming weekend. And we have a record number of applicants. If I remember correctly, it's more
The
than
combine is
120.
actually going on since I think early this week. I've
Uh,
seen videos.
it ended yesterday, yeah. It ended
Yeah,
yesterday. And it's nice to see the draft picks and you
full of
look at the
familiar
list.
names actually.
A lot of
Yung
familiar names. If you look at each of the UAAP or NCAA schools, they'd have at least 5 to 6 players each.
mm.
And then you look at the players that played abroad, ang dami-dami rin. And yun, it's a very, very deep draft.
So
And
baka ito na yung year na i-announce yung pangalan ni Richie Rivero sa mic. Hindi na siya yung nag-a-announce sa mic ng
yes,
proposal
and
niya.
he's finally getting a shot at the top flight. Uh,
Mm.
he's mentioned that he hasn't had a team for so long, so for him to get back to get into a team, would be nice for his basketball career. And as for players that I'd be looking forward to seeing in the eventual PBA, I'd like to see the potential first pick in Stephen Holt. So he's a player that has bounced around in multiple leagues across Europe and even in Australia. I'd be excited to see how he fares in the PBA, even if he is already 32 years old, if I remember correctly. He is still a player of the highest quality. And dare I say that he's on par or even better than some of the imports that are coming into the PBA.
Oh.
What are you looking forward to see?
Well, besides the big names, I'm excited on how or which team would actually get the services of BJ Andrade.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm a big fan of BJ Andrade and what he brings into the game. So, feeling ko marami pa siyang pwedeng i-develop, and hopefully the right team picks him up. Besides him, I'm also excited for Shawnee Winston. Hopefully he gets that excitement of his game even to the pros, na parang that unstoppable mid-range jumper. I'm excited to see that in action after the UAE. Ikaw ba, bro?
Uh, other than uh, other than Stephen Holt, I'm actually curious to see Christian David.
Mm.
He's a 6'7" forward who once played for Butler in the
Mm.
NCAA Division One. And if you remember Will Navarro,
Mm.
he was supposed to be an import in Korea. yung pinalit sa kanya nung hindi siya pinayagan ng PBA was Christian David. But I don't think he got to play because of injuries. He's had an ACL injury before. But then he mentions that he is completely healthy and that he's ready to play. He didn't get to participate in the combine, but I'm curious to see how he fares or who will end up taking him given his height and his experience in the NCAA. So, yeah.
Ako bro, ibang David yung aabangan ko sa PBA Draft. Apple David. Hey Apple David. Shout out.
Shout out, nakaswari ka namin nung high school. So, yun. Speaking of the PBA, since most of the players come from the UAAP, we're also excited for the return of the UAAP. So, it will happen on September 30. And there's news that the confirmed first game is already UST versus UE. I don't know the rest of the schedule, but you know, it's nice to see that it's out. It's returning soon. Maybe we'll have an eventual episode discussing the rosters once they're completely out. So, what are you excited about this upcoming UAP season, Mora?
Well, I'm excited. The teams actually got better. Not just the top 4, top 5 teams, but even the teams that have usually been at the bottom of the standings. Parang pati sila
Mm-hmm.
locked and reloaded eh. So I'm excited on how they would fare against the what we would so call the top teams in the UAAP. Gusto kong makita if they could actually be toe to toe with those teams already.
And I'm excited to see how the so-called parity will play out this year. Because they're saying that top to bottom, this is quite a balanced year. There isn't a clear favorite, though I have to disagree. I think it's still UP for and above any other team. But I hope we get closer games. I hope we get a lot of the UAAP that we're missing. And I heard that Wednesdays will be packed with 4 games. So if you plan to watch Wednesday games, maghanap-hanap na kayo ng leave. And prepare because kung ganun yung case, if my calculation is correct, within 1 month, tapos na yung first round ng UAAP. So, ayun. Can't wait to talk UAAP hoops soon. So, yeah.
So on Wednesdays we watch UAAP. I think that should be the
We don't wear pink. We watch UAAP.
Speaking of pink, pakita mo nga yung jersey mo dyan. Kakakuha lang ni Iyu nung special edition na Sacramento jersey niya. Straight from Lazada. Hindi, joke lang. From the US.
Straight from the Philippine Postal Office. Shout out sa Philippine Postal Office. So I guess that's it. That's the end of our episode. I would like to thank you guys for watching and for seeing what we're just fans who like to talk about basketball. So
yeah.
Until next time.
For me, watch out for the next episodes. I think we'll dwell further into the UAAP as we have mentioned. And then lots of exciting stuff. We'll try to have a mock draft of UAAP teams or even legends soon. So watch out and be excited. Let's play ball. Thank you guys.
And beware na pagdating ng UAAP, may pagka-bias kami kasi atinista kami. So, other than that, see you next episode.